Hey guys, I'm Wolf, and somebody in the Discord that I'm a part of was asking about how to spawn zombies in Fistful of Frags, and they were explaining that they couldn't do it in Hammer. They couldn't find the zombie spawner in Hammer or anything like that. That's because it's not actually located in Hammer. You do it all within game after you build the level how you want it, and then you do all the rest of the zombie stuff in the game itself. So I guess just real quick, I'm going to build a level, and I'll be talking the whole time, but I'm not here to show you how to use Hammer. I'm not 100% sure how to make the zombies function properly. I don't know how to save the files and apply them to the map. I don't know how to set up timers or quick time events or anything like that at all. So you're just going to have to figure that out yourself, or I'm going to have to figure it out and make another video about it. So I'm just going to get started by making a level here. Always build your geometry with no draw first and then apply textures later. Unless it's very, very tiny little detailed things, then you can use a texture. Or if you know that all sides of the brush are going to be visible at once. So I'm going to make my grid smaller. I'm going to make it by 16. And then I'm going to make a nice big... Oh, I got to select the right tool first. Dohoy. I'm going to make a nice big platform. That big. And then I'm going to stretch it so that it is a square platform. I'm using the orange ones as quick markers. I like to do that because it's much easier to make it so that something is very symmetrical. And for test maps, that's really nice. Okay, now I'm going to use one of my custom textures to make the floor. This is a blend texture. I'll get into those later. I'll actually probably show you how to do those later because I had to almost figure that out myself until I found a Top Hot Waffle video, so that's good. Okay, so next I'm going to split this into 4 quadrants, because those of you who know Hammer will know that I can only have power of 3 displacements without having physics problems or bad crushing or something like that. And also sometimes ray tracing will be cut oddly with power of 4 displacements, so yeah. Anyway, we'll dwell on that later. Okay, now that I've created those, I'm going to work on the skybox. Oh, I made all the faces, didn't I? Nope, I didn't. Cool. So now we need the skybox. The skybox seals the whole level. It's actually really important to have a skybox. This is a lazy skybox, so it's not well optimized or anything, but this level is so tiny that it doesn't even matter. So there's the floor. You need a floor because this ground here with the polygons, it will not seal the map. It doesn't seal the map. So you do need a floor underneath it, unfortunately. I really wish that wasn't the case. Okay, now I'm making a wall here. And I'm not going to have it this tall because that's pointless. And then there's going to be a lot of copying for these walls. Select them both, copy them, and then rotate them. Take the bottom one, and then copy it to the top. And now we've got a really nice box that is filling in our whole map. I'm going to group mine, so when I click on one of them, it'll select all of them, and that makes it easier to know what I'm clicking on. I'm going to select these 5 faces and apply a skybox texture, the 2D version that's slightly purplish, because we're not making a 3D skybox, we're just making a 2D one. And then I'm going to click fit because it's less visually confusing when I click fit, so I like to do that. I'm going to select these 4 here all at once, go to displacement, paint the geometry. I'm going to set the radius, not the radius, that's the power. I'm going to set the radius pretty high because I want this to be more like a valley and not like plains, and not like a mountain or a really sheer face or anything like that. I'm just editing the ground a little bit, you know, a few feet at a time. Okay, and now I'm going to select them all again, and then I'm going to paint alpha because this is a blend texture, and it's going to look really bad in the level editor, but it actually looks pretty good in game. I don't know why it's like this, but it looks funny in game, or in editor, and then in game it looks great. But Left 4 Dead, for some reason and somehow, displays it how it would look in the game. So I don't know why Fistful of Frags is like this. For those of you who don't think blend modulate textures work, if you know what those are, a lot of people don't think they work in Fistful of Frags because they see it in the editor like this, but they actually do work, and you'll see that in the game, which is pretty neat. Okay, so next I'm going to set up an info player start, which isn't a spawn point, but rather a point for your camera. So like when you launch into a game before you join a team, you can see like out of this weird camera. Well, that's the info player start. So there's the info player start. I'm going to move it back, and then I'm going to shift drag it to copy it. And then I'm going to make an info player FOF, and that is the spawn point once you join a team. So that's where you'll spawn once you join a team. When you're in spectator mode, that's the camera that you first see out of. So that's kind of confusing, but that's what's going on there. Next, I'm going to place a light environment because I want one. And I guess for fun, I'll go ahead and make a precipitation volume. I'll show you how to do that for fun too. So light environment. I'm going to make it seem like it's daytime. So I'm going to set this to a -30 degrees because right here it says a -90 degrees is straight down. So this will be at kind of an angle. Brightness is the color and exposure of your level. I'm going to make this kind of a very peachy orange, kind of like that. And then I'm going to set the brightness to about 140 because I want it to seem like it's a little bit cloudy. I'm going to pick the ambient color, which is basically shadows, unless you have a shadow controller, which we are not putting in this level. And I'm going to make this kind of grayish because it's daytime. And I'm not going to make it full dark, so I'm going to set this brightness to about 25, and that should look pretty good. Okay. And that's all you really have to do unless you want to set the sudden spread angle, and there's an explanation for what that does here if you want to pause and read that. But I'm going to set this to 3. That's my favorite value for a few reasons. I like it best, personally. And next is the precipitation volume. I'm going to make this volume fit the whole level within the skybox. So I'm going to just draw where my brush will go, and that's just going to be going through the whole volume there. Make sure this is a trigger texture. Press enter, Control T, make it a funk precipitation. I'm going to set this to 100 density because this is a very large volume. If you needed more density, you'd be copying this multiple times to make it higher. I'm going to set it not to snow, but to snowfall. Snowfall is just rain. It like defaults to rain or something. And then I'm going to pick the color to be full white because it's snow. It will look slightly blue in the level for some reason. I have no clue why that is, but it does. So yeah. Anyway, that's all you need for that. Next, I'm just going to save it by pressing Control S. I'm not going to put it into Maps CRS. I'm going to put it into the Fistful of Frags directory, FOF, and then Maps. And then I'm just going to name it something that I want. So I'm going to name mine CM Snowy Test. Save. And then I'm going to compile it by pressing F9. And then I'm going to do it all normal because this is such a tiny map, it won't take any time at all, as you can see. It's just going to take a few seconds and it's done, and it doesn't look like there were any errors. Otherwise, it would be much longer, the compile log would be. So next, let's just go into game. Here we are in game, and I'm going to go server cheats, so sv_cheats space 1, sv_LAN space 1. That makes it a local area network connection. People won't be able to connect to your game. And then I'm going to select my map. By the way, I've noticed that the custom maps have a little space in front of them here. So it showed up, but if it doesn't show up, go ahead and quit your game and just restart it, and that fixed it for a lot of people. It fixed it for me too. So next, if you want to spawn zombies, be sure to select coursebots_z.txt. Because if you select the other ones, it'll be bots with guns and stuff. So be sure to select the zombie one, right? And then make sure it's from script here. Make sure you have plenty of time, because if the round ends before you you're done making the script will not be saved. So you got to make sure that you save that. You can set the team amount to whatever, but I'm just gonna leave it 2 because I don't care. It doesn't really matter. And then click OK, so that it launches it. Next thing we'll want to do is go back into spectator mode. I forgot to do that. And when you press F5 or F4 by default, you'll get these tabs. So F4 is the one that you want to be in. The specific person that was asking the question will want to press F4 when they're in spectator mode to get into this. But you will need cheats enabled, I'm quite sure. So yeah, just make sure that you've got that. Next thing we've got here is a menu where you can press on your keyboard 1 to 4 and it'll select different zombies. It's left click to spawn one of those zombies. As you can see, they've got guns. I have no clue why that's by default. Haven't a clue why they would do that. So I just spawned in 2. What if I don't like these guys? What if I want to kill them like the god that I am? Well, I would press tap delete on the keyboard and that will delete all of your spawn points. They spawn with weapons by default. How do you make it so that they're just punching you? Well, when you're in this editing mode, go ahead and click right mouse button, and that will bring up this menu, which is a little overwhelming at first. But here you can actually edit a lot of things. So I'm going to go into bot definitions and be sure that course bots is selected. Otherwise, it might give you an error where it shows up and it spawns like a ranger or a vigilante or something. So just make sure you've got that selected. And you can actually select what they'll spawn with here. So I'm gonna pick brass knuckles, I think. So now I'm gonna go back into right click, and when I spawn it, now you can see he's just got his fists out, which is good. You can see now over here it has actually changed, and you can see what weapon he'll spawn with. Let me just go ahead and plant a few more of these guys so that we know what we're doing. So I'm gonna plant 6. Look at that nice little human triangle. Well, dead human triangle, but human nonetheless. And then I'm going to save this spawn group as something that I call it. So we'll just call this CM Snowy group 1. And then you can click save as, and that will actually save the group as. And you can, if you're good enough, I guess you can like spawn another entity that refers to this spawn group, and then it'll spawn the spawn group when something else happens. So yeah, there's that anyway. And if you want to save your configuration here, like you want to save it that this guy has brass knuckles, you can go up here and rename this to something that you want. So we'll call it CM Snowy Z1. Go ahead and put .txt at the end. And then click save as, and that saved it as what we just called it. And you'll be able to select that when you go back into the listen server creation mode. So the next mode, yeah, when you get out of the mode by pressing F4 again, they'll start running around aimlessly like the zombies they are. If you press F5, you can go into the scripts section. So this is a player spawn. So you click down and it selects a player spawn. Right click is to free your mouse, by the way, so that you can select like options menus and stuff and set that to normal or whatever you want to do. And then right click is to go back into looking around mode. Again, numbers are to select these. Scrolling is to select these. They've got the purple 0 to 9 select, left mouse button and all that. Those are the controls. So it's good that they have the controls up there. Really easy to see. And that's about all I know about this. I tried making a wave script, and I even tried looking around at the scripts that exist within the game to make Not So Lonely Forest possible, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. So if this got you started and you eventually figure out how to do it, you know, it would be great if you could tell me how, and I might try to make a tutorial on it if I can figure it out, that is. But it seems like it's a little bit over my head. But if you guys liked this, then go ahead and suggest another video. You'll be able to see some examples of what I've been able to do in the upcoming map that I'm making. And it'll be totally free, of course, because I'm not looking to make a profit or anything. So, yeah, I hope this helped. But let me just show you one more thing. Restart the game. Here's the game. Okay, so as you can see, here's the map that we just made. And, oh, there it is. CM Snow Z _1.